Hello again. I'm Mike Brightman. Welcome back to my channel here. We're going to be working on some SketchUp models, some layout drawings. We're going to be talking about our ConDoc tools, and that's kind of what these sessions are all about, is like live workflow sessions. And I'm going to try and remind myself to kind of take it easy and not hustle too fast. We're not really like racing to get to any end goal on these sessions. It's more just about taking a real project that's been on my plate, a project that I've actually worked on and completed, or at least, we submitted the drawings for these projects I show you. The idea is that I'm just going to work back through them again, and when I know where I'm going with these projects, I can at least not have to kind of design on the fly, and I can just show you and talk through how I build the SketchUp models, what extensions I use, how I get real work done, produce real drawings using SketchUp Pro and Layout. So that's what this live stream series is all about. Hello, Stephen. Glad to have you here from Norway. We got Rudy from Brazil. And it looks like we've got like maybe 10 people on here. That's cool. And yeah, good morning from El Salvador. And you know what? Can you tell me your name from El Salvador? Because I know I responded to a comment over there, but I'm not sure your screen name's a little different. And Michael Carroll, welcome back from Reno. Very cool. Well, yeah, I'm glad to have you guys here. Thanks for it's cool to see familiar faces and Guillermo. So yeah, good to have you here, man. Thanks for coming back. Yeah, it's cool to see familiar faces, and hopefully these sessions are helpful. I've been going through and like basically what I've been doing is recording these sessions. So I go back through, and you might have spotted, I think Guillermo mentioned that he saw that that last short that I posted. He saw it live. So yeah, I've been producing like a ton of clips and shorts, and so pretty soon I'm going to be flooding the channel with a lot of little video snippets of what we're doing here. And it's kind of helpful for me too, when I'm working through these projects, I can kind of tease out like what's a good tutorial, and so I can make a more scripted version of some of this stuff that I'm doing. So anyways, but the point is not to talk a bunch, is to really get in here and get to it. And it looks like, the stream is live and all my screen switching is going. And so I thought I would just start by kind of, Raymond, glad to have you here, man. This is kind of where we left off with our existing conditions model. It's a canvas scan, and I just went through and I tagged it using our ConDoc Tools extension. So we got it all tagged up appropriately like that. And but you can see that we have like some of these doors and windows are not ideal. If I like isolate those and take a look and isolate those, you can see that they're kind of like made of like a sheet of glass and a frame, and they don't net good 3D or 2D graphics. So that would be something that we could work on today. Something else going on here is this is where we left off with layout. So I was like, really, we're going to go to our fun studio shot there, the studio cam, right? Basically, I was kind of debating back and forth as to what I should work on today. And I think that I'm a little bit tired right this second of the 2D drafting in layout. Good morning, Justin. What's happening, man? Thanks for being here. So I'm going to switch back over, the idea here is that like, this is, I'm still working in sequence. So, I went with like, if I go back over here to this screen, we've got like last session, we worked on getting the sketch in here. And so we created our demolition plan. If I turn off the background, you can see we have like our existing conditions, and then we have our demolition plan. So the next step on this part of the project would be to like duplicate the page and then turn on our backgrounds and then start drafting our proposed conditions. All right, so that is work that still needs to be done. But I'm kind of tired of working on that, and I don't want to like kick things off this morning with more of what we already did last time. So let's switch gears back over into SketchUp, and instead let's take a look at like using the flex. I think what we'll do is we're going to use the flex tools to update our doors and our windows, and then we're going to go through and we need to like model out, finish the existing conditions model. Our addition is only happening on the back here. But like, I think I'm going to, I want to finish out this roof line here. And then honestly, I can probably just like leave the front of it fairly unfinished because we're really not doing anything up front. And if this were like, well, hourly or fixed fee, I really wouldn't want to burn any time up there if we're not really doing anything with it. So let's get to it. This is always fun. I'm glad I got Justin here if I'm using extensions, so I can always reference the master over there. But we've got our Flex Tools extension, which is a really, really powerful collection of essentially dynamic components, right? So Flex Tools is, from my perspective, I know it's more than this, but it's really like a super powerful collection of dynamic components that allows you to like, drop them in, stretch them, they rebuild themselves. It's essentially like everything that our ConDoc door and window does times 100, right? There's all these different settings, and that's just on the dynamic component side. So they also have like a bunch of other, little, the zapper and the component finder. And then they have this like wall cutter scenario, which I don't particularly like using, but it is really slick and it does work well. So let's work through here and let's replace some of these doors and windows. So to work on this stuff, I might just freeze my earth tag like that. And I'm going to isolate my doors. So that's tagged as a window. I'm going to isolate my doors and my windows. So I'll hit isolate. And, when I tag this, I was kind of moving fast. So really, I'm going to get rid of these guys here. And, I might as well just trash this as well. Let's just start by working on the exterior. All right. And so I think what I'll do is I'm going to group these, and then I'm going to tag them always off. And that way, whenever I'm using that always off tag, it just kind of gets rid of it. So it's not going to show up in any drawings. And also I've updated my design scene so that it doesn't show up. And so this way I can just get it out of my way, but I might want to go back and reference it because perhaps I will forget, and I already do forget, like which one's casement or, what was the sliding door. And we can go look at our video as well. So, all right. So then I'll just click reset, and I'm going to freeze my earth again. And I'm going to update my design scene so that every time I hit reset, it's not bringing the earth tag back. All right, and then I'm going to go up to my Flex Tools, and let's see, if I just kind of hover over these different toolbars, we've got like doors, glass door, hidden door, pocket door, bifold door and window, and we need a sliding window / door. All right, so I'm just going to click on that, and then if I hover on here, check this out. I can just like place it right here, and if I'm not mistaken, that's like the wall cutter scenario happening, because see, this is a group that's been tagged walls. We tagged it interior and exterior and existing. All right. And so this dynamic component is actually cutting through that group, and it's cutting, all the way. Let me freeze the ceilings as well. And I'll update this just so that every time I hit reset, we're not getting back there. And this trim, that trim will get demolished, I suppose. Which we haven't quite gotten there in our model. All right, that's okay, but you can see what's going on here, that like, this door is cutting all the way through. All right, well, for me personally though, I just like to cut my door and window openings because it nets a better, like a perfect result that's like always going to be absolutely happen if I just cut the walls myself. Because I think what happens if I hide the window, I think it no longer cuts. I might be wrong there, but let's just throw a sliding door in place right there. I'm going to scale it like that and then like that. All right. So now I can go in here and take a look at like what's going on. I'll try and use my, I'm trying to use that space navigator because I know it looks better when I'm flying around, but I just never think to grab it. Basically what we need here is to get this door thickness, I suppose, to match up with like the wall thickness. So I'm going to use my tape measure tool and tap the left arrow key to constrain that and then measure my wall thickness. And let me measure it over here because I think I just measured the trim. Tap the left arrow key like that. It's 6.5 inches. All right. So what I'm going to do now is go take a look at my component options for this dynamic component. So our component options here, like that. So I can select this door and then it gives me all the options that Flex Tools has baked into this dynamic component. So we can go in here and like our wall thickness, remember, is 6.5, and I'll hit enter. All right, so now that should have adjusted there. Little things, this door is actually, pretty decent, to be honest. I mean, I don't love some of these, like, I think these numbers are a little off or like not round, maybe because they're so precise, or maybe because it was from metric to standard. I'm not sure, but I do kind of like to go through at times and just kind of like dial these in to be cleaner. So if I hit like 1 tab 1 tab 1, and then you can hit apply and get all those buttoned up, and then you can see the top, like maybe 2.5, and just get them rounded off. But I mean, this is like really splitting hairs, just something I do. And then our sill thickness, I find that to be just a little bit thick, so maybe I would knock that down to like 1, like that, and then maybe it goes out by 0.75. But this is where you could actually go and look at like the spec sheet. You could go look at the spec sheet for the door and get these dimensions perfect, but I don't know that I need it modeled that perfectly. I just want it to look right and render right in my SketchUp model, and as long as I have that like rough opening perfect, I think I'm in good shape for my purposes. All right, so as far as this one goes, I think we're in good shape. So I'm gonna close that, and I'm gonna hit save. And remember, this is my existing conditions, and I brought this file over from that last session, so I've been archiving those files as I go, and I'll get those posted and redistributed in the descriptions here at some point when I can like kind of make these a full series. So all right, so now like for this window here, I could go back to my tags and I could turn on like always off. So that's going to be in my ConDoc Tools, and then you can see like, all right, so this one, maybe this one's like I don't know, I guess they're both, we're just going to call them both casement windows. They're going to get demolished no matter what. So it really, it kind of doesn't matter, but I just want them to have a better look. All right, so let's hit reset. That's going to get that always off out of there. And I'm going to go find like a casement window. All right, so I'll click once, and then I'll kind of place that in there. And I got to kind of hover around, let's see, like that. All right, and remember that, of course, this will do the double cut thing as well. Or is it? No, not double cut. That's a different plugin, wall cutter. All right, I'm just going to stretch this down, and then we'll stretch this over. And then just like I did before, I want to kind of like, select this window, and let's dial in the parameters of this. So on this one, the wall, again, the wall should be like 6.5, enter. And then our inset, I don't know that it should go in by 4 inches. That seems, I don't know, it seems like a lot. Let's do like 3, and let's go look at it from the inside. like this. Yeah, see, and this is trim. So I'm going to freeze that like that. All right, so this guy, maybe it should only inset by like 2. You know, because there would be like a little, at least a little bit on the inside, a little ledge, a little sill. All right, and then this window, so again, I'm going to do like 1 inch like that. The depth, you know, 3.5 is probably fine for that. And when you hit enter, it rebuilds. And then as far as these guys go, the top of this, you know, like on this window, I think it should really be more like a 1, like 1 tab like that. And maybe the depth is like 1 as well. Let's apply that. All right. So maybe, yeah, maybe it would be a little bit bigger than that. So, you know, you could go back and say like 2 like that, just tabbing through those and apply that. So I suppose that looks about right. And our sill, again, the sill's on. The thickness of this sill, maybe like 1 inch. I think that's what I did on the last one. And it comes out by, oh, let's say 1 inch like that. All right, like that. So good enough, right? All right, so when it comes to the flex tools, you know, it's you've got the choice between like our ConDoc door and window. Those do serve a nice purpose in that they're very simple. They're easy. They're easier to edit in that you can just draw what you want on top of them, or you know, kind of explode them. They're like a good starting point. But the Flex Tools windows are much more detailed and realistic. Also, similar to our ConDoc door and window, which has a 2D graphic baked in, the Flex Tools doors and windows and all that have 2D graphics baked in. So let's take a look at that. All right, so if I like collapse everything and go look at like, you know, our Flex Tools like 2D elevation. See, they have like elevation and then they have plan symbols. So let's get rid of our 3D and 3D hardware. And you can see now that this is what the plan symbol will look like. You know, so that's pretty nice when it comes to making really clean plans. And I mean, they've even gone, I'm assuming that they like kind of broke these up into levels of the 2D plan, because that's going to give you more line weights. You're going to get like profiles versus like just kind of your regular edges and profiles here. So you really get a lot of extra detail out of these Flex Tools dynamic components. They're really slick. All right, so but what does that mean when it comes to the drawing set? So like we've got our layers or tags, you know, with the Flex Tools and all that. Well, we do have a ConDoc Tools drawing set that addresses all of the Flex Tools tags. So instead of using the Architect Plus drawing set at this point, I think, you know, maybe what we'll do is just switch over to our Labs folder and go with Architect Flex Tools. And we have one for Medique Tools as well. So let's go with our Flex Tools. All right, now when I hit reset, you're going to see all of these Flex Tools tags jump into our ConDoc Tools tag folder. So now all the Flex Tools tags are being managed by ConDoc Tools, which is pretty slick. All right, then that also leaves behind all of these different like placemaker and canvas tags. Here's a tag from PDF importer. So, you know, any of these other plugins that are creating tags, whether they're predictable or not, they can be easily managed with this setting here. So if I go to my Flex Tools drawing set and look at these settings, you can choose what to do with tags that are not defined in the drawing set. And all of the plus drawing sets show tags not defined in the drawing set. So the idea there is that whenever the ConDoc Tools run, we're going to show all of the SketchUp tags. Like if it's not defined, we're going to show it. But then if you've assigned a ConDoc tag to it, then we'll be able to chip away at the visibility. So this is how you can kind of have these like parallel tagging systems. Like you can use the ConDoc tags either like, I don't know what the right way to say it. It's like either like in parallel with the SketchUp tags, or they can be like totally separate tagging systems. So what we're going to do is just show tags, say okay, and close that. And so essentially now we've turned this into the Architect Flex Tools Plus drawing set. And that's going to continue behaving the way that it was. But ultimately, I would probably end up trashing those tags, but you don't have to. We can still leave them intact and get the same results for now. All right, so now what I would do is perhaps I would I'm just gonna close that because I have the look that I want. And now I can make a copy of this window over here, and then I can scale it like this. And now, and let me turn on my, turn on always off. Yeah, okay, so this one's kind of a different scenario. And let me turn the 2D elevations on, and I'm going to update my design scene so that that tag doesn't keep turning off. All right, so let's go back to our dynamic component options for this casement window. And I'm not super familiar with all these little settings, but I think if you I think that the sashes, maybe we need maybe we need a double casement window. Let's see, or maybe we can do 2 window units like that. Yep. And then, yeah, there's a lot of, toward axis, apply, no. There's a lot of settings in here. And, just a little tip when you're using, when you're using the Flex Tools dynamic components, when you select the window, you get kind of one set of settings. And if you double click in and then select, sometimes, you'll get some different settings here and some different settings here. And so these are more the, the muttons, the mullions, equal divisions. That I don't really want to get into. I'm more looking for which way it's opening. I don't think there's any more. Yeah, that's as far as it goes. And so let's see. Let's just poke around. Distribution. These are all the divisions and all that. And if I back out our rotation, locked or unlocked, and here opens inward and inward. Yeah, I think we need a double casement window. So let's do that. All right, so let's just delete this one and go up here and grab a double casement window like that. Let me delete that. Grab that double casement like this. And then use our scale tool and snap that into place, and then snap that into place. All right, so that's the look I'm going for. Although, I don't even know if it's a casement or a slider or what. Let's just assume it's a casement because, like I said, it doesn't matter. It's getting demolished anyway. And then I'll go through and I'll just kind of button these up. So let's go with 1, and then this is going to be a 3.5, and this will be, I can't remember if we did 3. This will be a 6.5 like that, and then 2.5 like that, and then we'll apply that. All right, and then our sill thickness, and I forget what we're doing there, but we're just going to use nice clean round numbers. All right, so that looks pretty good. All right, so now what we can do is let's just select these guys, and what we're doing is, keep in mind that we're still working on our existing conditions model. So we're just we're upgrading our existing conditions model with better windows so that when we eventually get to our proposed conditions, we're going to have those better doors and windows in the model already. And when we create our demolition plan, we're going to have better 2D graphics for demolition plans and existing conditions plans and proposed conditions. So that's the idea here, is like any work that you put in on the existing conditions model is going to translate forward when you save it as proposed conditions. All right, so these are going to be like level 1 windows exterior existing, and this will be level 1 windows exterior, or I'm sorry, doors exterior existing, like that. All right, now we're going to work on another window type here, and I believe that on this one we're going to use the sliding window again. I was kind of looking at some of the video just to give some reality to this project. Let me go with this and go to projects, and content and media and our Osmo. And this, I think, was a decent video to kind of show you, these are like sliders, right? So it's kind of, this window is fixed, and then these guys are going to slide on the inside like that. So this is kind of, I'll show you, like, that's that little piece of trim I mentioned earlier. And then this is that sliding door that we already put in. So just to give you like a glimpse of the actual project like that. All right. And let's see if I go back over here. I think, yeah, we might as well just like see it from another direction if we catch anything of interest here. Yeah, you can see that like they'd already kind of started a bit of a renovation. Like they knocked out the other side. That all was new over there. And then this is going to get all patched up on this next kind of phase. So yeah. All right, so that's the window that we're working on. I'll leave that open just in case we need to go back. And so you can see like, that view is looking in like right here. Let's scoot in there like that. There you go. Okay, so we'll get back to it. This is going to be a sliding window/door. All right, so we'll just drop that in there as well, like that. And I'm going to use the scale tool and slide that over there, and then scale it that way as well. Now this one does get a little bit tricky as well. Let's get in here in the settings. So I'll do my usual like that. And you can save these, once you like get some of these settings dialed, you can save this. But I'm just kind of like working from scratch right now. 6.5, the inset, I guess we'll say 3. Let's go check that inset. Maybe the inset needs to be like 4. Oh, I'm sorry, 2. I'm going the wrong direction. And yeah, the reason I say that is when that other shot was like kind of a better view, wasn't it? Like right here. Yeah, you can see that, there's actually a ledge. So the inset, needs to leave enough to put like a little, a little bit of a flower pot or something on there. So back over here, maybe even a little less of an inset. So maybe like a 1-inch inset. So now we've got a little bit more. That looks good to me. All right, and then same drill, our thickness, let's call it 1, and the out, we'll say 1. All right, and then on this one, kind of the big thing is going to be getting this, it's like, it would appear to be broken into like quarters almost, where half the window's in the middle and then 25% on each end. So let's see what we can do with that given their settings. So I think that we'd want to say like 3 there. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to mess with like the middle one on its own. I'm just going to dial these up the way I like to, or down more so, and get my round numbers. And also like the middle window is fixed and it's on the outside. The windows on the inside are kind of sliding in. So let's see if we can just kind of get this to work. So the configuration, let's say centered like that, and we need it then to flip like that. And so now the inside windows move and the one on the outside is fixed. All right. Now this is where like I would double click in, and then, you know, this is again, like these are going to be more about the like kind of the decorative features of the window. So I don't know if we can actually like get this middle window to be wider. I don't know if we can do that. And somebody who is more familiar with Flex Tools, you know, might be able to explain that directly. I don't want to like, don't quote me on it that it's not possible, but I'm just not as familiar with all these different settings in here. So I'm going to kind of scan for a minute, but honestly, again, like I'll probably just move on, and you know, again, it's going to be demolished, so it doesn't really matter. And I would consider just like exploding it, you know, in the end, just explode it and then make it what you want it to be. So, you know, that's kind of a good option too, is, you know, with these dynamic components, you know, you can get close and then just explode it and then make it exactly what you want it to be. So let's dig around in the settings for just another moment and see if we can find anything. So I'm just looking for configuration. Set. Okay, I don't see anything specific. So let's I'm gonna make a copy of this down the line like that, just so that we don't like, you know, we're gonna blow it up. And then I just want to make sure that like I leave one, just kind of leave one intact just in case. And I believe that there's like this zapper, which it kills all dynamic properties of this window. So I mean, you know, you could kind of do that where you zap it, and yep. Okay. And now, you know, when you look at the setting, it doesn't have any dynamic settings. So at this point, you know, you can just drill in and like do whatever you want. And I can tell you that, like, you know, this symbol, we don't want those symbols because that's a fixed window. You know, flipping it in and out, I actually shouldn't have done that. I flipped it, which put the hardware on the other side. And that's okay. Let's just keep working with what we got. We would delete that one, delete that one. These guys, I'm going to flip to the inside like this. And there you go. Get it off of there, and then kind of make a more controlled snap like that. All right. And then, you know, at this point, maybe I would like take like this window. Let's see, you know, so like if I drill in, like double click in, select all, and just explode this like a bunch of times. Because really, I just want to select this and scoot it, you know, 12 inches, 12 inches. No, like maybe 6 inches this way, and then 6 inches this way. Like that, and like that, and then double click in here and we're going to move these by, say, I guess if I did 3 inches there and then explode this down and then take this stuff and move it 6 inches this way. And then we can drill in on here, and these guys will move 3, and then we'll explode this down and get this stuff over 6 like that. Yeah, so close enough. I mean, let's take a look at like what does our 3D 2D scenario look like. All right, so you can see our 2D symbols are there, and if I turn off my hardware and my 3D and then just get like the 2D plan, you know, I can drill in on here, and maybe I would just select everything and blow all that up as well. And really I just need to move that, I think I said 6 this way and 6 this way, like that. And then I can hit reset. And so, you know, the point here is that the flex tools are really powerful in that they get you, like, I'd say 90% of the time they get you all the way there. And then if there's like 10% of the time where either the setting doesn't exist or perhaps the user doesn't know where it is, which could be the case here, you can just zap it and then you can make it whatever you want it to be. So that's a really, really slick scenario with the flex tools, really powerful collection. And then coupled with our drawing set, it works seamlessly, right? So, all right, so that looks pretty good. So I think I'm going to save at this point, and you know, that looks pretty good. And I guess I'll just kind of keep on rocking with the flex tools, really just digging in and getting, the idea here is to get our existing conditions model whipped into shape. So I got to keep my focus here. That is because they are flexible, right? That's the name. All right, so like let's do something like with this door. All right, I'm gonna freeze our what are those? Those aren't even or let's see, those are ceiling equipment. Can I freeze? Yeah, let's see. Oh, that doesn't show. So freeze our ceiling equipment. Okay. Let's reset that. I want to get the ceiling equipment. I'm gonna explode. What is this stuff? Untagged. And what is all this stuff? I wonder if I like stopped short when I was tagging. And stairs. Oh, I remember I think like halfway through tagging, I kind of figured out like a different way of selecting with like the right click, you know, select all on the same tag. And these were these were features. Yeah, okay. So yeah, as we're going through, so I think like what this session is really all about, at least in the beginning, is getting our existing conditions model in better shape. All right. So let's just get a door. I'm gonna hide that for now, and just let's freeze. Let's just select our doors and our walls, and then isolate. So we can hit tag isolate and just get rid of everything but doors and walls. That looks good. All right, so now we can keep using our flex tools, and you know, we're gonna stick with it. You could make the argument that like some of these interior doors are very simple and perhaps don't warrant flex tools, but and also, you know, when you're deleting these doors, you could also choose to, you know, like maybe these guys are on, you know, always off if you're just not sure. But honestly, I'm going to delete them, and we're going to replace these doors with new flex tools doors. So all these doors here, as well as these doors here. This is like a closet door. So we'll trash those, and that all looks pretty good like that. All right. So saving as I go. All right, which door do we want? Now, if I have a vague recollection that we want a hidden door, which I don't really, I'm not sure if I understand what a hidden door is versus just a regular door. If it's actually like a door that is truly hidden, like you know, some sort of like secret door. But it seemed to me that the hidden door was a better option than like this kind of regular door. Let me kind of check what they've got going on. Yeah, I think hidden door is more of what we want for the interior door, because then they would just put the trim around it versus like, I don't know, exterior door. So let's go with the hidden door. I believe that's what I used when I first built this project. All right, and then this might get a little bit messy because on these guys, I remember having some trouble with, you know, like really getting in there and like, you know, figuring out like how I want this dynamic component to actually function. And what gets tricky is like, I want to be able to stretch it to my rough opening. So that's why, you know, like I started to say that, you know, the ConDoc door, I might have a preference for the ConDoc door on this one, but let's try this and see what happens. All right. So like if I go in here and look, see the door width, I kind of just want it to be like a clean dimension. I guess we can just chip away. We'll start with like, you know, the wall. If I go like that, this wall is at 4.5 inches. So our wall is going to be 4.5 like that. And yeah, maybe I got it like, maybe I should look at it from this side. And you know, what I really want is like the frame. I don't want the frame to be minimal door, type A, minimal door. Yeah, I guess let's go. I'm going to go look at this website, see if, yeah, what are we getting at? It's just like a minimal, like they're talking about the style of the door. So it truly is like a hidden door. That's kind of what they're getting at. All right. Let me switch gears and go with, let's just throw down a normal door and see if that's something that we can kind of work with. All right, so I don't think I want the hidden door. I think I want the regular door, and I want it to have like clean dimensions. So like if I do, I'm going to stretch it. I'm going to scale it like this. And then I'm going to type in like 3 feet, enter. And then I'm just going to right click and go to like redraw just to be sure. All right, so my opening width, we're just going to kind of build the door that we want at like a perfect clean 3 feet. And then our opening height, let's make it like 8 feet. Well, let me do that. All right, and so yeah, let's call it 7 feet, just to kind of keep it within scale. It doesn't matter. Okay, so now I can already tell I want to go back to my ConDoc door because I want my interior doors to be a certain look, and I know I don't need all this detail for them. Like I get it on the exterior. Current doorway. Yeah. All right, so now if I like select this guy, this is where you can do like, I think I did something like I set my frame to 0 and on the sides 0. So that way you don't have any frame, because I think that's kind of weird to have a frame like that. And let's see. Yeah, Michael, good point. I'll get back to that in just a moment. Let's muddle through this, and then I'll kind of take another look at like the connection between what we're up to here versus what we did last session. All right, and then the gaps, like, yeah, I know I got all this dialed in. You know, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna go back to. Let's open up another SketchUp window, and I'm gonna go look at the final project, and I forget where I landed, like what I actually use. So let's go to projects, and we'll go to my real project folder, proposed, and just go take a look at my interior doors and see what I did. And that's the direction we'll go. Maybe I'll even copy it, but I kind of want to like work through. Let's see. This is our, you know, kind of like the direction where we're going. And if I freeze the roof and the ceiling, and yeah, so I used, you know what, I'm remembering, you know what I did? Yeah, I went all the way on these. And this is like, if I look at my settings for this, this one, it did take a bit of tuning, I'm remembering, and it's pretty slick because like you know, Yoni over at Flex Tools, I mean, he did a great job getting like, you know, the width, height reports back in, so it reports like 3.2, 6.10, and but this is like, I believe it's like an exterior door, but I do remember what I did on this one is I went and I looked up like I just went to like Home Depot, and I went and I like looked up, you know, homedepot.com, looked up like a generic interior door, and just got some like, you know, dimensions and dialed this one in. And I remember like it being kind of problematic to have the like the hardware and the gaps were kind of making it difficult, but I did get this one dialed in so that I think I've got like the overall opening, like when I cut my opening, I leave an inch on each side, and when I cut it vertically, it's 6.10, and then did I leave a gap? 6.9, so there's a 1 inch gap under the door. Yeah. All right, so let's just copy this one. I'm not going to get into, I think you guys understand that like it's possible to tune the door like this, and you know, you would like want to save as, let's try that. Let's save it to our Brightman Designs resources components, and do I have a flex? I'm going to make, well, we'll just go with doors and BD interior door detailed. That looks good. All right. And I'm going to close this for now because that is my real project. And we might come back to that for the actually, we will come back to that for our pocket door. So for now, let's go with Finder, and let's like add a collection under Brightman Designs, resources, components, doors, and select. And then here's our BD interior door detailed. And then perhaps I can just drop it there. And then I guess the question is like, you know, now it's like, do I need to cut this out? Like, you know, is this opening, if it's 2.6, I'm just going to snap it to the opening like that, you know, and then let's go look at our details here. So the width, like I'm looking at the wall thickness should be 4.5 like that. And then perhaps I would scale this down to meet it like that. And if I go back and if I'm going to turn my always off tag on, and let's like unhide everything, and I think I just deleted those out, so that's okay. All right. Let's see. Reset, and there's our door. Okay. Yeah, man. I was gonna say, like, when I was, the whole point. All right, let me see. This is like kind of what I led with when I first started. It's like I got to remind myself that the point of these sessions is not to like have some super clean presentation where I just like nail it on the first try, because in order to get that, I actually have to go and do it and figure it out and then go make it look easy. And yeah, it's like every time I get back into any of these projects, I do have to, figure it out as I go. I suppose ConDoc, I do have that pretty well dialed, but like there's so many of these other plugins out there that like, I only touch them at this stage of the project. And then once I like dig in and figure it out, it's like I move on, and I don't do that many of these design projects every year. So it might be 6 months before I like actually need to dig in and figure it out again. So yeah, it definitely takes a bit of figuring out as you go, at least for me with these dynamic components. So, all right. So like, I'm just going to stick with like snapping this to our, to the opening there, and just call it good like that. And then I'm going to close this, and we're going to turn on our 2D plans. And so, again, this is going to be like level 1 doors, interior, existing. And I'm going to isolate my doors and my walls. And, where I was getting hung up is like, is this frame, do I want that frame to be outside of this opening that was provided to me? Like when I look at these openings that Canvas made, it's like a clean, 2'6". It's a clean 2'6", but I kind of have a gut feeling that they were measuring that's like kind of the door, and that the frame is not accounted for. So I kind of feel like I likely need to account for that. Like I need to expand this by 1 inch in each direction is my guess to make this door. Yeah, because 2'3", it's kind of weird. And even like if I did 1 inch on each side, it'd be 2'5", which is very strange too. Right? So no, okay. So here's what I think I need to do is I think that I need to, on the canvas model, push that by 1 inch and push that by 1 inch. And then I need to like stretch this with my scale tool, like this, and I'll do it about the center by holding Control like that. And what that nets is my door 2.7. Oh no, I didn't get it right. So I must have let go of, either I let go or it didn't rebuild itself the way I want it. So like a 2.868 seems like a realistic door. And what I'm measuring is from like, well, maybe I need to look at it from the other side. Like from here to here is a clean 2.6. I don't know. This would be one of those things where I would admit that I'm not an absolute pro at dialing in all these settings, but I know they're slick. So yeah, the door gap and the overall width. See, I'm with you. That's what I do remember spending a lot of time on that. And I only spent a lot of time because I didn't understand it. I had to like sort it out on the fly when I was working on it. But so it's like you've got like what I don't like about the Flex Tools doors is the gap and how it like plays with the overall width. And like I want to be able to stretch my doors to snap to the openings and know that my openings kind of match the door. I don't know. That's always been the way I worked, and having all this frame stuff or kind of like thinking through all that for interior doors just isn't how I've worked in the past. So I think what I'll do then is this wall's 4.5. There's 0 inset, maybe like a 1 and maybe a 2. So maybe just a 1. All right. 1 inch inset. So yeah, that looks pretty decent. All right, so I'll leave that alone. And then here's your other option. At least like I think that for like Windows for sure, Flex Tools is really slick. If I turn on my windows, you can see here, like those are really nice, and you do get those symbols. For doors, I do think that for interior doors, I would land on using the ConDoc door. So Window 3D Warehouse, and then just type in like, oh, of course I agree, right? ConDoc door, like that. And then we've got like our 4.7 dynamic door. Had that around for a while. And then I can rotate that by 90. Let's see, does Flex Tools has this like flip left, right? Or like this? Oh, okay, there you go. So some of those flip tools are pretty slick, and we can set that there, and then we can just scale it. And so this is what I was getting at, is like essentially my door slab matches like the rough opening. I guess that's how you could say it, at least rough opening as far as my model is concerned. This is where I need, I don't know, or maybe I don't need John Brock on this call, because he'd have some strong opinion, and he'd make fun of me for not having a strong opinion about it. So anyways, let's see, that looks good. All right, so then that opens in like that, and then I'll make a copy of this and then rotate it by 90, and then I'll scoot this in like that, and then I'll scale it like that. And yeah, Justin, you work on commercial stuff, right? Which I think commercial doors are drastically different than residential, is my understanding. Rotate this by 90, and then scoot that like this. Let me undo that. So we'll just use these guys like that. Scale. All right. So that looks pretty decent. And then this stuff, these are not windows. Those are fixtures like that. And cool. All right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's like the commercial doors, if I remember right, because that was a long time ago when I worked in architecture firms doing commercial stuff. It was like they actually do have those frames. And residential doors have like pre-hung, has a frame, but I don't know. It's questionable how, like, it's a, yeah, I'm not going to dwell on that anymore. Yeah. Cool. All right. So let me get back to, like, Michael Carroll was asking, showing the connection between what I'm doing now and the 2D work from last session. So kind of, like what I was getting at with the last session was buttoning up the idea behind the last session was getting like 2D existing conditions drawings immediately. like as quickly as possible so I can tape it down and start sketching out ideas. And then I kind of opened this session by saying, you know, I just didn't really feel like working on this today, to be honest. And you know what? Sometimes that happens. Like, you know, sometimes you're just not feeling that task, but you know that you have some other task that like has to get done. And that's really like kind of where I went with this was I know that I have to get my existing conditions model up to snuff here. I got to improve it. Like I can't move forward with proposed conditions unless I dial this one in. So I just kind of decided like instead of continuing on in layout for another session today, let's get back to SketchUp and, you know, mess with our flex tools and see what that's all about. So, all right. So now let's see. So this is all coming along. You know, maybe I'll just kind of cheat. Let's go back to our SketchUp. I think we can just go back to this file here and let's just, you know, poach some of those doors out of there, and I'll just save them to that same folder and see if we can just kind of use them in this other model. All right, so again, I'm going to just kind of freeze the roof and the ceilings. There's our pocket door. Oh man, I do remember some struggles with the pocket door too. Yeah, and I just want to make sure that I'm not like I'm communicating too that like Flex Tools is awesome. If you get in there and you dial in these different doors with the different settings you want, you can save them so you don't have to do it again. So like resources, components, doors. So here's like I have a ConDoc pocket door apparently. I'm going to save that. So there's a pocket door. And then I have like a bifold. Okay, so we'll save as flex bifold. Yeah, we'll just save it as that. Is there any other Flex Tools stuff that I want? That all looks good. Yeah, I just kind of left that alone. Well, we don't need that yet. And this one I might steal as well. So save as flex slider multi. We'll just save it in there like that. All right. Cool. All right, so I think we can close this again, get rid of that, not save those changes. I'm going to make sure I save this project and as I'm going along here, and cool, everything looks good over there. Just checking my time. Okay, so let's add in our like kitchen door here so we can just like trash this stuff here. Yeah. And again, back to this same discussion, like you can see they do have a frame around it. So like, you know, that might be one of those things just to go back and like really double check, you know, drop a tape on it and see where canvas landed with that. All right, and so like in here, I feel like this is where we should have our, there's our interior, and let me add a collection, add new folder, doors, select. I thought we had that already. I'm going to close this one. Here's doors. Okay, there they are. So then I can take this guy and drop it in there. So yeah, you can see how, like, you know, this one I've got it all dialed in with my all the gaps and the frame, or at least the overall width, which is really what I care about on this one. So we'll stretch that over here, and that fits the way I want it to. That looks good. This is going to be level 1 doors, exterior, new, existing. So that is an existing door. That's an existing door. And then we'll go with our bifold. So this guy here drop that in, and then I can scale it and stretch it there. And then that one's going to be level 1 doors, interior existing, like that. And I think that's going to do it for those. So looks good. And I think I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get like this project. You know, I'll kind of show you like what it takes to get there, but we'll treat it like a cooking show ultimately, where we'll get as far as we're going to go today. And then I'll probably switch over to like my actual existing conditions model. And that way, you know, we don't have to like muddle through literally every little corner of this project. I think that would be a good idea. Like that. Okay. And yeah, so all this stuff I'm not terribly concerned about because it's really not showing up in my drawings. I want to crop my drawings in this hallway. That all looks good. And all right, so idea here being that we're getting our existing conditions model dialed in. All right, so keeping my eyes on the prize here. So let's see, this is trim, interior existing. This is one of those things that, you know, like this group here, this is one that I just kind of like threw together and gave it kind of a blanket statement here. So I forget exactly why I did this, but it had something to do with like the way I was selecting things, and I started doing it one way and then switched. So I threw all this stuff in a group. So let's get like all this stuff kind of tagged correctly, like stairs, barriers. I mean, it looks like it's okay. Fixtures. I'm just kind of selecting things and checking, you know, what tag they're on. This is all fixtures, ceiling equipment. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm just going to explode this like that. And then, you know, we'll just like isolate the walls. You know, you kind of like look at, whenever you isolate something, that's when like the errors will stand out. For instance, like these guys aren't tagged properly. So level 1, windows, exterior, existing. And now they're not there. All right, so then you can like, you know, freeze your walls and isolate your windows. And so when I isolate my windows, is anything wrong? Yes. All right, so these are going to be level 1 doors, interior, existing, and then hit reset, you know. So that's like really kind of slick about the ConDoc system and the ConDoc Express tools, the ability to kind of like flip all this stuff on and off and really see the errors. This is going to be untagged, and these guys are all, so I've got lights and I've got trim. So I think I'll just explode this, and you know, let's isolate our lights. Lights look good, so we'll just turn everything back. We'll hit reset more so. And ceiling equipment would be, that's trim. So really, I think maybe another way to test this would be to you know, set up my existing conditions drawings. So perhaps I would go back over here. Justin, we'll catch you next time, man. Thanks for being here. Let's see. I'm going to go to File, Document Setup, and just take a look at my references. And let's go set up our existing conditions drawings again. And let's go look at like what we've got. It should be on the backgrounds, right? At some point. So I'm just going to add a sheet like this, and let's just get rid of that. And then I'm going to kick out my, and before I do that, I'm going to do a scene update and save. and then we're going to kick out our existing conditions plan at 1/4 inch. And this way, like this is how you can really look for your tagging errors. I can tell you that like 99% of the issues that I hear about with ConDoc has to do with tagging. It's in like tagging errors will show up as like drawing errors. So if you get your model tagged to perfection, it's highly likely that your drawings will be perfect. But if something's out of place, like a window is on the fixtures tag or walls are tagged as, doors, that's where you get the weird stuff. So I can tell you that like 99% of the issues I see has to do with tagging. All right, so let's like kick this over in, and we did that already. So our ConDoc drawings over here. This is going to be our existing conditions plan. And we'll just kind of like expand that out. And I do remember last time I kind of messed with my styles. That's why it's kind of grayed out. And all right, so this is where on this one. So what's happening here is, let's see, why are the doors not showing up the way I want it to? I think that we're referencing the old file. So let me go to my document setup. And this guy's out of date. All right, well, let's try and update it, and let's see if that fixes. There you go. Yeah. So see our doors kind of come in. So here's what I'm talking about too. Like with the ConDoc doors, you just get this, nice, perfect, clean symbol. And with our Flex Tools doors, because this was not created using our Flex Tools. This is all good stuff. This is like how you fix it, all right? So I think what I would do, and I think this will make a nice little demo for those new section utilities. So here's the problem. This would be a common problem, I think. I created my existing conditions plan using the canvas tags and just got them out the door. But then I switched over kind of, halfway through. I was like, oh, I want to use our Flex Tools. And then I switched drawing sets, which, is a little bit dicey, but no big deal, as long as you know what you're doing, right? So I'm going to trash those existing condition scenes. And I might even like leave these there for just a moment. All right, let's do this. Let's run our existing conditions plan using the Architect Flex Tools drawing set. That's going to create additional existing conditions. Now, what I want to check here is that like heavy versus heavy, and see how they're in different positions. Well, I'm going to go and update all of these guys. I'm going to select this heavy scene, but then I'm going to update all of these camera positions. All right, so this one's active. I'm going to select these guys, and we are going to update only the camera position. That way, these guys are in the exact same position as they were. And then when I get back into layout, if I have a background somewhere, which I think I do, now they're going to end up in the exact same spot. All right, so that's kind of a way to get them to line up. But I don't want to have these. You know what we could do? Oh, this is clever. Look at this. We're just going to update. So now that they're in the same place, we're going to go to heavy here, and we're going to update this one, hatch A, and we're going to update this one, and update this one. So now you got light, heavy, light, and see how light is now using our Flex Tools 2D graphics. That's the difference. That's what we got out of this. Whereas this one, yeah, because we updated them. All right, so now we updated the old scenes, and then we can trash the new ones. Ooh, that was kind of a That was some advanced ConDoc trickery. And let me, the reason for that, I mean, on one hand, you could just delete the scenes and re-export them and drop them back in, but we did have it set up already. So like that would be what I just did, is how you could kind of leave them intact, because if you change the scene, the scene names are not what connects to layout. Behind the curtain, I'll say, so behind the scene, behind the curtain, there's scene numbers that we don't actually see. And that's what I believe is making that connection. So if we would have just like deleted the old scenes and left some new scenes that had the same names, I don't think they would have synced up the way that you might think they would, or the way that they used to. Yeah, we used to do that with like way back in the day with like, I forget, one of the, ConDoc 2 or something, when we had all these like templates and things. You could do that. And then I remember one year they changed it where they added those scene numbers, and then that blew up our whole system. But they gave us the kind of layout API, which enabled the drawing export. All right, so now like, I'm going to send this, arrange, send to back. And yeah, what am I looking at here? Why am I having such a hard time? So there's this is on backgrounds, and then there's this is on backgrounds. And if I want this sketch sent to back, and I guess it's there. Yeah, it's really light. All right, so let's check our references. We're gonna update, because those should start coming in as light, heavy, and existing, like that. Let's go look. Why is this not updating? So if I save, let's do a scene update and save, reset, and then document setup, references. I'm going to relink this and make sure, see, this is going to the old one. All right, so this needs to go to like BD Live 5 project files, and there's our existing conditions, like that. And now that's syncing up the way it should. All right, so now our existing conditions are back to where I want them. We're using our Flex Tools symbols. So there you can see, you've got some like nicer like window symbols and some really nice door symbols. And again, on export, all this stuff will get cleaned up a bit, but I do like the look of their 2D graphics. I mean, really, like when I zoom way in, you can see that like, this is a thin line, and then because they kind of stack them on different at different heights, you get profiles, and you just get a lot of, I don't know, easy graphic improvements with Flex Tools. So all right, so that's our existing conditions drawing there, and I'm going to save this and hit reset. And I don't know, I think I'll just I think I'm going to go with setting up our roof. That could be kind of a good final task, to kind of bring our existing conditions model up to speed. And, the canvas scan doesn't make a roof. It makes the ceilings. But when I go look at this house, we do have like, I got some decent drone footage of this. Yeah, so there you go. So like, this whole roof, I think that they've got like a new option where you can scan the exterior a little bit, but I don't know how well that works and this and that. But this roof did not get built. Okay, so that did not come in with my canvas scan. So let's fix that. So like, I guess what I need to do is maybe I need to like kind of glean a roof pitch. And yeah, these like beams or rafters here, whatever, those are not indicative of the roof pitch. So let's go find like a photograph maybe of this house. There's, you know, like this could be of value, you know, like just kind of this shot right here. Like you could just kind of draw that triangle to kind of grab that pitch. That'd be an option. I think I have some photos of it. So let me go up and go to, I'm going to go to our actual project files. Sorry, projects for Wagon Trail, and under images, I remember going back specifically to take some photos so that I could kind of, you know, verify the roof pitch. Because, you know, I remember coming across this scenario where, you know, I just kind of assumed, you know, it seemed like a fair assumption that like the, you know, exposed beams on the inside would kind of match the pitch of the roof. But, you know, that definitely was not the case. And so now I had to go back out and just take some photos, and I thought, well, this would be a great place just to grab this photo, and then I can, you know, pull this in and make a triangle. So let's do that. I'm going to close that out, and then we're going to, and, you know, just to give you some more photos of this house, you know, I just was like modeling the existing conditions, and I wanted to kind of get it a little bit closer. That we kind of worked on those windows over there a little bit. And all right, so let's pull this in. All right, so like maybe I would just grab this photograph here and just drag it right into SketchUp like that. Throw it right on the ground, and then whenever I'm working with images in SketchUp, I always explode them. So X is my keyboard shortcut, and then I just make it a group, and then I don't know, I guess I would just like, you know, you could draw some guidelines maybe and just see if like how well aligned this photograph actually is. And so if I like select that guideline, you can see it's just a little off. Maybe I'll like, you know, put the guideline there, and then I'm going to rotate my photo, and we're going to rotate it right here. And I'm going to go look at the end of this and see, like, I want to rotate it like from here to here. So this way, and I know it's probably kind of hard to see, you know, the guideline is kind of running right along the top of that brick ledge there. And then perhaps I would open my protractor tool and just kind of throw another guide like right along that ridge line. And so now, you know, you're really getting like, you know, that's your roof pitch right there. So this way, and I don't need like the whole rectangle or anything like that. I can, or I'm sorry, the whole roof. I can just take that, group it, and then I could probably just trash this, and then I can like rotate it, click and drag with that rotate tool, 90, and then rotate it again 90, like that. And then I'll bring it over here. I'll clear my guides, and then, you know, I'm sorry, I do want it over here. We'll place it right there. And, you know, so that way, like, I guess, you know, that little trick I just did, at least we got like an accurate roof pitch in there. And, you know, you could go in and see like, what is that roof pitch? You know, like if I draw a line, if I go like, you know, 12, like come out this way by 12, and then up arrow key. So it's like, you know, 4.5 to 12 is what we're looking at. So whatever that means, I mean, you know, I would be reluctant to even try to like round this and call it out. I would just say match existing is probably the direction I would go, like that. And so now we need to get this kind of dialed in. So this gets a little tricky, and I know that because I did this already, is when you start looking at like where does this ridge line center up on the house. And, you know, it's kind of best, I think, to just pick a point and work off that point. And so I'm not really concerned with this roof right here. This I actually did not build in my model. This would be like kind of a good place to start. But what I really need to do is kind of find like one place where, you know, I can really kind of dial it in. Like this would probably be like a good indicator right here. You know, it's kind of like the top of the brick runs out, and like, you know, when it hits this beam here, that would be like where I could kind of plot a point and start. So, you know, I think that we could draw in those columns. And so like maybe I would throw a guideline here like that, and like a guideline here. And then I would draw a, let's call it like 6 by 6, and then pull this up, and we'll pull it up to here. And then I'm going to make this into a component, and I don't like to name those components. And then I'm going to make a copy of it all the way to the end right here. And then we're going to say 4 divided by, I think it's 4 divisions. And this is where I need to get back to my drone footage, potentially. Content. And so now, yeah, I just want to see like how many. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So that looks pretty good there. That looks good. And then we can get rid of this one. And, you know, I'm just kind of like, you know, this guy lines up with this face. I think they line up with that brick face. That's fine. And then I tried to orbit this. So we're just going to assume that like that beam kind of sits, I think it sits on top of that brick. So let's just run with that assumption. I definitely went back out, and, you know, that's what this collection of photos is all about. Is I just went back out and I wanted to like really dial in all these. So let's just kind of make that assumption here that that this, zooming in here, like if I were to like move this surface back over, that angle is hitting on where that sits. So really what I want to do is take this and scoot it down like that. All right. And like, this is another good candidate. I'm going to make a copy of this way over off, and then I'm just going to hit it with always off. That way, you know, that little kind of template still lives in my model. All right. And now if I wanted to, you know, double click in here, and perhaps I would like offset, or, you know, like use my tape measure tool, not necessarily an offset, and say like 7.5, and then draw a line like this. And this is kind of more what I'm getting at. So that might be, you know, and maybe I think that's probably good for now as to where that sits. And remember, I haven't defined like how far out it goes or where my center point is. They've got the center of the ridge going on right here. So let's start with like what Canvas came up with. You know, Canvas came up with this center line, and I'm just going to throw it like this right there. All right, so that's what Canvas came up with. And, you know, I guess I'd probably just, in hindsight, work off that. The reason I knew to go look for that is because the structural engineer made a comment about my drawings and just said, hey, just a heads up, you know, your center line is right on top of this, you know, because he went back out and did some field verification, and I had this center line perhaps like just a few inches over. So so then I, you know, now on the second round I know to look for that, like what did they come up with. All right, so let's set that as our center line, and then I would throw a guide, you know, if we kind of snap to it like that. All right, so now we've got it going up and it's on that face. And then we can just, you know, slice this guy and then group it and delete it. And then I can take this stuff and I can make a copy with a flip, you know, so I can like tap control and then click and drag and then flip that over there. And we're good there. Like that. All right, so now you've got kind of like, you know, the strategy here is to plot these points. You know, like it's kind of overwhelming when you just look at it and you're like, oh man, it's just one big roof, and you know, how do you even start? Where do you put anything? Well, you just got to pick a point, like in one point at a time. Like I know where this sits, and you know, then we got our angle. We know the angle. We know the angle hits there. We know where the center line is. You know, so now we have something to work with. And then I believe the overhangs, I know I measured them. Let's go back to our photos. And so you can see, like, if I recall, I think that this is like a 3-foot overhang and this is like a 2-foot. It's kind of strange that it like kind of bows out or extends out at the top. So it's kind of a unique shape to the eaves there. So let's just call it that. So we're going to go with, like, you know, I can get rid of my guides. I can get rid of that line. And so now, you know, from this face right here, we're going to pull it this way by, say, 2 feet, like that. And then, you know what? I'm going to split this, and then we're going to move this out by, say, 12 inches, like that. And I don't think 12 inches is, maybe it's like 24 inches, 2 feet and 2 feet. We'll just exaggerate it so we can see it. We can always go back and tweak it, you know. Or go look at the other model, because I know that I've kind of verified it. I got up on top of that shed and like held the tape measure up. I just forget what the dimension was. All right, so now I could take this and then I can like pull it across. And as I'm pulling it across, I might just stop here and click and then tap control and then continue it and stop here. And then, like, you know, if you make those break points, and then maybe over here I'll do like 24 inches and then split it like this and then move this out, say another 24, to mimic what we did on the other side. So that way, you know, you've got some sort of, you know, kind of like placeholders there. All right, and so then if I go back and kind of check my footage, you know, you can see that like it kind of kicks back over here, and then it kind of kicks forward kind of in a weird way over there. All right, so yeah, so I need a photo kind of like looking at that back. Oh, this is the photo I need. All right, so this, you know, we're gonna call this like a 2-foot overhang right here. So let's kind of plot that point. All right, so off this wall, 2 feet. So maybe our standard overhang, you know, it'd be good to kind of define the rules. Well, let's just stick with what we're doing here. We're going to plot this point up to there. And then we're going to, from this face, we're going to come out on the green by 2 feet. And so then, you know, you can like drill in here, and with your line tool, then you can say like, yeah, that, you know, we can get rid of. And I tend to just, group it and delete it. And, or actually I'm going to undo that and undo that. I'm going to take this and make a copy of it straight down on the blue. Oh, our axes are kind of jacked around on that one. And then delete those pieces. And then with my rectangle tool, I can kind of rebuild this chunk right here like that. There you go. So now that roof line is kind of correct. And keep it in mind like what Canvas is good at. Like Canvas is really good at capturing that interior shell, but Canvas really wouldn't be giving us any information about really anything going on the outside. So that's why it's important to get all those photos. And I grabbed the drone footage, to make these videos and this and that, but that's why, it's really good to get a bunch of photographs for this very reason. And, again, it's like we're going to demolish the roof and we're going to make a note to kind of match existing anyway. But the more accurate we can be, the better. So let's keep going. So we got that in place. Then over here, and I think, the question too is like, how, like, does this kind of pull back by 2 feet or something like that? I don't know. We'll leave it like that for now. All right, so now what's going on with this area? And so this area here, you can see, it kind of jogs twice. And let's just let's go look at our photos again and see if we have, that's looking at what we just built. That's the point that we started with. That's kind of the end of the house where I'm getting. So now I'm going to go back through. Let's just get back to the beginning and go try again. And I tell you what, no matter how many pictures you take, it's like you always want more. You just got to get loose. Yeah, so we're just going to call this let's just assume that like it's a 2-foot overhang. It might not be. There's the picture I want. So, oh man, that is strange. So we'll say like a 2-foot overhang here. And then it's going to, yeah, that's kind of a strange little scenario. All right, so, okay, let's just plot this. And let me check from here to here. All right, so we want to get that at 2 feet. So let's plot this point, and then let's come off of here on the red by 2 feet. And then I can like slice this guy back. So we always get our nice clean 2-foot overhang. And and this, all right, and because this kind of goes out, it gets a little bit goofy here. So I'm going to use my move tool, and I'm going to lock it on the blue and then snap it to that face. And that way, we don't have to like go through and rebuild all that. All right, so then this is going to, when it hits here, it comes back. So like right at this wall, it would appear to kind of come back, like say another 2 feet, like that. And then it goes up here, but that's definitely not 2 feet. So let's call that maybe like a foot. All right. So I'm going to plot this point at -12, and then I'm going to draw this in there like this, and like that, and like make a copy of this, carve that out of there. Again, use my rectangle tool, kind of clear that out and clear that out. That's going to be reverse that face and clear those out. Hide rest of model, and then we can kind of clean this up a little bit. And this would be another good instance where like I'm going to copy everything and then try this delete coplanar edges. you know, sometimes it torches more than you want it to. In this instance, I think it's an easy fix. You can just patch it like that and clear my guides, save my model. Yeah, so there we go. We're in pretty good shape. Like that. I feel like, you know, this scenario here, well, obviously it's gone too far, right? So like what is this overhang? Let's go look for another photo. It does go pretty far out. Look at that. You can really see it right there. So like, wow, that really extends out further than you'd think. Let's see. Let's call that 4 feet. Let's see how far we've got it. So if I like set this up at 4 feet, okay. And I'm going to use my line tool, hold shift, and then draw a line like that. And then I just drew it outside of that group. So I'm going to cut it and then paste in place and then use my push-pull tool. And something got, oh, yeah. Okay, so when you get that angled out, it really makes things that much more goofy. So let's get clever with this. We could use Zorro and just slice it, I think. So let's throw a guideline like this. And then let's go Control 1 and F is top view and F8 is parallel projection. And let's open up that Zorro toolbar, and then you can like slice your roof. Oh, and I might need to like jump in there and then slice my roof like that. So that's kind of slick, right? And then remember, like when you're in that top view, you can also make that clean selection now from right to left and grab all that stuff and then just kind of like re-heal it like that. So there you go. So that's like another, you know, that Zorro tool really comes in handy. So, you know, so now, you know, we're just kind of chipping away at it. You know, we made like the broad stroke of like the roof volume, and then, you know, chiseled away at some assumptions and details through here. And I mean, that's, you know, that's kind of the idea. Let's do this to kind of further dial in these existing conditions drawings. This is going to be level 1 roof exterior existing like that. And then I'll just freeze it. All right, so here's another use. Here's another use of the Zorro tool. That this is probably the number one use for me for the Zorro tool, is to like separate out my interior walls from my exterior walls. So like when I get this scan back from Canvas, all the walls are just kind of merged into one. So let's drill in and use that Zorro tool to kind of slice away our interior walls and separate them from our exterior walls. All right, so to do that, I might just select a wall and hit isolate. So we can isolate that tag so that we're only seeing our walls. I'm going to double click in, and then we can go to Camera Standard Views Top. As I mentioned, Control 1 is my keyboard shortcut. And then we can also go to Camera Parallel Projection. My keyboard shortcut for that is F8, which essentially toggles perspective on and off. Now, I've got my Zorro tool open already, so we can just go around now and like slice away. So, you know, you can like slice from here to here, and from here to here, and from here to here. Well, actually, I'll go like all the way along that line and like that. And, you know, this is where you get into the question of like what's interior, what's exterior. But my guess is that this wall does not actually truly continue in like that. It's probably brick on the outside, framed on the inside. This one, we're going to slice it like that. And then this one, we'll slice it like that. And you can see what it's doing. It's drawing in those lines. So now what I can do is like grab all this stuff. These are my interior walls. So you know that's the easiest way to kind of separate this stuff out. And so, you know, I might just grab this, make it a group, and then I'll grab all this stuff. And when you're in the top view parallel projection, it makes it really easy to make those clean selections from right to left. All right, I'll group that as well. And then we're going to triple click all this stuff and group that. And then I'll back out one. And this is going to be, those are walls interior. These are walls, and let's just explode this group. And that way now I can retag this stuff as like level 1 walls and existing. And now we're going to decide, like, you know, this stuff is on the interior like this. So we'll just retag everything interior. This is all exterior. Now we've like successfully sliced all those walls with our Zorro tool. We've grouped them, but I'm positive that like they're not modeled as solids. And if you can kind of stick to modeling with solids, or at least as close to a solid as you can, it just makes life easier. All your hatches are going to show up better whenever you like, you know, force like a section fill, it's going to show up better. So let's go in and patch all these up and like fill in these walls and make them solid. All right, so I'm going to hit reset, and again, I'm going to like isolate my walls, and I'll just double click in on, we'll start over here, even though we're not really doing much with this side of things. Oh, what did we get here? So this is our interior wall, so let's just patch it, okay? So we're going to go like this, and then I can tell you I don't really want any of that stuff, like that. And like that. Oh, that was because of we stretched those walls way down. All right, so then again, we're going to like kind of patch this stuff up like that and just make it like a nice clean solid. That's going to be fine for now. And, you know, like I said, we're not doing anything over here, so we're not going to get too hung up on it. This wall, you know, we got to do a little bit more. I'm going to right click and choose align view, and then hit that parallel projection again. And like, let's just slice this wall down like that. And then we can get rid of, you know, these guys. I'm going to group it and cut it. Group it and cut it. And these guys I'm going to group and delete and get rid of this stuff, and then like reheal this up like that. And then I'm going to back out into here and do a paste in place. Yeah, what happened? Like, man, what happened here? This is like out of whack. Yeah, something happened with this wall. I wonder if did I slice it when I wasn't in a parallel projection? That's possible. I'm just going to reheal it. You know, no big deal. I'll just go back through and patch all that up like that. And this guy, yeah, why did it do that? You know, and that's it's like a common thing I've heard. Like, why did SketchUp do this? Well, it likely wasn't SketchUp. It most likely was me that told SketchUp to do something dumb. All right, so now we're gonna patch this up like this. Yeah, I've got something goofed up right here. We're gonna patch this up. That was a group. There you go. Like that. And it is kind of tough to work with parallel projection. Like, once you kind of get things dialed, it's kind of nice to switch back to perspective. And I'll just patch these like this and like that. Okay, so that's good. and hit reset, and then isolate my walls. I have I as my keyboard shortcut, like that. And all right, so now we can kind of continue on. Hide rest of model. I have a feeling that these are going to be a lot easier, like this and like this. And so you just want to like patch these guys up, because if you slice through any of these walls, if they're a solid, then they'll show a nice clean fill. I guess we'll check that. We'll see if we can even get this to be a solid. This is a pretty big shape to get to show up like that. Like that. And you can see we're missing a surface right there. Just give it our best once over to look for any missing faces or like extra edges. I mean, looks decent. So now this is where, you know, like how far in do you want to go in making this a solid? So you can see that like in my entity info, it's just reading as a group. And what that means is that somewhere in here, there's like just a little edge floating around. And there is an extension, solid inspector, and let's go grab it. I think it's under, well, I don't think I have it. Let me just see. Solid. Oh, I do have it. Solid inspector. I believe this is on the extension warehouse. And if I select this and turn this on, surface borders, fix all, manually inspect and correct the errors, then run the tool again. I'm just going to double click in, make this a group, and then run this. What are we saying? Edges that form the border of a surface or a hole in the mesh. These cannot be fixed. Manually close the mesh. Okay, well, so the solid tools is a super powerful extension, but in this case, there's just one little thing in here. And now it's kind of like I've been challenged to find it. You know, where is that one little surface that's missing? Something in here. But honestly, it's not terribly important. It's probably something like this. It's not terribly important. It's just you want to get it, like, that's kind of where I started, is like as close as possible is good. But yeah, somewhere there's just a little surface missing. And I hate to walk away defeated, you know? I suppose one way that you could troubleshoot this would be to, like, let's use our Zorro tool and like slice it and slice it. And then, you know, like make it up into pieces. Let's see if this does us any favors. You know, if we like group this stuff and then group this stuff and then group this stuff. All right. And then let's try making like this into a solid and just see what that does. I'm just kind of, I'm off on a tangent now. I'm just kind of like curious if I can make this into a perfect solid. Okay, so there's one. All right, so see, this guy reads as a solid, so we're good. So now, you know, we could get in here and patch this guy up on its own and see if we can get that to be a solid. And like that. All right, so that guy reads as a solid. And now this one just has one piece that needs fixed. As far as, nope, we got these two. We'll hit them both at the same time. That guy reads as a solid, so that would lead me to believe that the problem was over here. Oops. Let me get rid of that. Double click in, patch this guy up like that. And we'll patch these up as well. And so that's, these guys are grouped. These are, oh, you know what? There it is. I'll bet you that's the piece right there. for anyone who's out there still watching this. All right, solid group. Then we can get, let's see, I'm going to undo that. Okay, so now you've got like all these pieces are solids. So 4 solid groups, 5 solid groups. All right. So now you can take these, and I believe then we could use our solid tools, which I don't use a ton. And I think it's outer shell, and just hit it. You know, any of these, it's always a good idea to save, and then outer shell that. And you know what? I'm just going to explode it. My axes got all jacked around. So I'm going to explode it and group it so that my axes are back in line. And then our solid group shows up. So there you go. So, you know, that was a little bit of overkill on what's actually necessary to net clean drawings. But I gotta say that if you do it in the beginning, it is, you know, whatever effort you put in on your existing conditions model, that's what's going to play through, you know, for your proposed conditions, and it's going to ride through for the entire project. So really is a good idea to get this, you know, completely dialed in, get these existing conditions into really good shape. So I'm going to say that, you know, we're getting close to the end here. If you guys have any specific questions for me, definitely still got some folks still hanging on here. So I appreciate you guys being here till the end. If you have any specific questions you want me to cover, let me know, but I'm just going to kind of take one last final lap through the model, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Just take a look at, you know, where we're at and kind of set up like where we're going next time. So I'll hit reset. You know, I think we did a good job with this. You know, certainly we could dig in on really evolving this even further. I guess I'm going to think about that. This is a question, you know, I guess you could throw it in the chat or on the comments too. Like, if you really want to see me continue with this model, or should we just go and open, you know, like if I hop into, I'm just going to open, let's go take a look at our existing conditions model. So projects, existing. All right. And we're going to save this so that we've got a record of where we're at. So let's just go take a look. All right. So this is where I took the existing conditions model to. And now that I'm looking at it, I feel like it could be a value to take this all the way. We're not that far from it. You know, just getting, and really, you know, exactly what I was saying. Like, I didn't spend any time up here. The roof line and everything is not correct. Like, there's actually a gable here, but who cares? We're not doing anything over there. You know, I just got it all like really dialed in, accurately modeled. So I don't know. That's going to be something I'm going to think about as to whether, you know, for these types of sessions, is it really a value to spend like another hour getting the materials and everything right? Or, you know, is that something that we all know how to do? So, and then, yeah, if you want to see the permit drawing, like over here, I'm going to go to File, Open, and we have our final permit set over here. So like, and so, yeah, here's our permit set that we submitted a couple weeks ago. It did not make it through on the first try. But like, so here's, you know, the first page. And I changed, you know, I was just kind of like stripping some of the location and this and that off of it so that I can share these files. So, so yeah, this is the permit set, and here's our demolition plan. And, you know, if you don't have a good existing conditions plan model, you don't get good demolition plans, proposed conditions, proposed roof, and then we've got our elevations, and yeah, our elevate on this one, I copied it before I made a few little adjustments. And so like over here, you know, we don't actually need these drawings on there. So we can like trash this, scoot those up, or I forget, I rearranged them a little bit. So maybe I'll copy those again. So anyways, this is, you know, the direction we're going. And, you know, I call them permit drawings because it's really just, it's like a design intent within within what's allowed, like to get the permit. It's not really, you know, meant to be like true construction documents where you're like, you know, making an instruction booklet for how to put this building together. The permit sets, in my opinion, it's like we're proving that you're allowed to do this. We're you know, demonstrating that this design, that's this ideal or pleasing design, fits within the rules. And then we're relying on a builder who shares the vision with the client to kind of, you know, get the details done instead of paying me or an architect to absolutely figure out every little thing. And so, yeah, so question about the Zorro tool. Is it paid? Because I can't make it work. No, it shouldn't matter if it's unsigned. Zorro, I believe Zorro is on the extension warehouse. Zorro. Yeah. Zorro 2. Yeah, I mean, I've never had any problems with it. So, yeah, it looks like his compatibility goes back pretty far too. So, yeah, I'm not sure on that one. Make sure that like when you're using the Zorro tool, something that could be tripping you up is when I activate that tool, if I'm on the outside of a group, it's not gonna do anything. So you gotta like, you gotta be like drilled in, you know, like on edges and surfaces. And that's where the Zorro tool actually works. Now, if you want it to work on groups and components, you do have, when I activate the tool, you can cut through nested geometry by holding Control. I'm assuming Alt on the Mac. And that will slice through groups and components. It doesn't load. That I'm not sure about. Yeah, I don't know. Just run it through the extension warehouse and hit install. Other than that, I'm not positive. I'll definitely, you know, shoot me an email. You can shoot me an email, mike@brightmandesigns.com. And if you shoot me an email, I'll definitely get you a link to these files. And I say to shoot me a link or shoot me an email because I don't know when I'll actually like get all these organized into like a playlist and then properly list, you know, maybe I'll just throw that in the description. Maybe that would be a better way to go about it. But if you shoot me an email, I'll definitely get it right to you. Otherwise, I might just throw them in the description too, but I'll get a response for sure. So cool. Right on, guys. Well, I appreciate you being here. I'm gonna think about how to carry on and get this project to the next step. I always have this instinct of like, I got to get to the next thing, and you know, I'm trying to remind myself over and over that like the point is that, hey, you know, we've committed to, this is number 5. So we're halfway through on, you know, 10 of these. And the point is not to rush through it. It's just to like do the work and talk through it. So I'll be back and forth. And if you guys have an opinion, definitely let me know. Leave me a comment or something, or shoot me a note. But I think I'm going to wrap it up for today. I appreciate you guys being here, and we'll do it again next Thursday. So I'll catch you soon. Thanks.